the definition that I have made myself, because it's a very big subject, okay? But I think we could shorten it and say definitely that the limits, the boundaries are the limits that we set to ourselves, that they are based on the limits they were set to ourselves, and also those, they will definitely define how we set the limits to others. Make sense? So it's limits that we set to ourselves and to others, and they are influenced by my experience with limits. How my parents, how the school, how my friends, they have put limits to me. And I will come back to that idea, and actually that's the highlight I want to give you, okay? Today, at least, what I find more relevant. But as you know, I don't like to be too conceptual about it. It's important to access cognitively, but then it's also important to subjectively feel, hey, what does that mean, like we did now, to me, and how that do they feel the limits to me. But what I want is that you stick with the idea is limits I put to myself, because it's just like, no, for example, today, body awareness. No, I'm not gonna dance if I dance terrible. This is a boundary, you know, this is a limit. I'm not opening up to that experience because I learned that I'm not good dancing. Okay, but it's not about dancing, it's about experiencing the space, the body, yourself, okay? So it's a limit I can put to myself or definitely to the others. And it's just like, I don't want to see you, I don't want to talk to you, I don't want to open up, you know, in that kind of place to someone. So I put it to the other. And that's also very beautiful and very philosophical. We could bring into debate many things, because do the boundaries, they put us more together or more apart? In the sense, definitely a boundary is something that protects me. Physically also, we have all the realm of the body protecting us from the outside. The skin is the last organ, and we don't need it, otherwise this would be a mess. But the thing here is also like when I do, for example, verbal boundaries with my partner or with a friend, and I say, hey, from 7 to 9, don't talk to me about important subjects because I'm tired, no, in the evening. So we don't talk about any vulnerable topics, okay? So definitely maybe the partner or the friend can say, how nasty, no? How not nice you are, how, you know? Or someone, a friend that calls you, hey, can you listen to me now? And you say, no, so, no, I'm not emotionally available, you know? Because you want to talk to me about something that it will drain me, and I'm not emotionally available. Though I still love you. But the thing here is we get confused and we feel like, they are putting to me a boundary, that means they don't want me, they don't love me, you know? This is like putting us apart. But the question and the debate would be a reflection for you guys. Maybe we are also updating the relationship and being more honest and more authentic, and also even doing an investment in that if I'm true to this relationship, that means it will long last. If I am doing the eating it, you know, we call it the masochist thing in psychology, the ones that they eat everything is the ones, the bodies that they start to become like that, you know, and they can hold more and more and more. I'm okay, you know, I'm okay, yes, I can more. And it's just like, I mean, obviously, like, and they start sometimes to also even get this joroba, I don't know the name in English, but the Notre Dame movie of this little one. But the thing here is like, stop holding, you know, because the more you hold also, the more you will not be able to walk further. And I mean individually and relationally. So that's also why we can eat a lot and we can repress a lot and we can say, yes, I can, but the body will tell you one day, nine, you cannot anymore. And then another boundary, definitely, it is to like get away from the whole world, okay? Is this very like individualistic approach or more introvert of contact with others? No, because this is that dangerous, you know? It was that dangerous that they can harm. And Winnicott, a psychologist I like a lot, he said, we are just scared of the things that have happened to me. So we cannot be scared of things that have never occurred to me. And I think that's also brilliant. Because for all of these paranoia moments that we all have, but it's just like, hey, I'm gonna come into something that has already happened to me. For example, fear of abandonment or fear of invasion, okay? So if that has happened to me and I have dealt with it, kind of okay, we are okay here, so we are not dysfunctionally, we are most of us having a functional life. So it's just like, then I can make it right now. And right now I have much more resources than back then. Back then it can be teenager years, young years, child years, baby years. And coming back to baby years, and this Winnicott sentence I think is wonderful, the first boundary, of course, that it is set in the world, it's also like the kind of baby that comes into the world from the uterus, wonderful place. We all wish to be there sometimes and not to have responsibilities. Then we come out, no? Birth, first trauma, they call it also in life, and then needs. We start to have needs, you know? The baby, that's why they cry so much, you know? And then they are like, very annoying sometimes because they have needs. Temperature needs, sleeping needs, feeding needs, because it's the first boundary that it was broken, you know? From the mother vagina, and then it comes into the world, and the world is a place that it will create imbalance. And then definitely, if all goes fine, there is a caregiver there, mother, father, sister, uncle, I'm not gonna come into names, but whatever relationship that allows me to feel contained, held. What we are working today also, how am I being held in the space? How am I being held in relationships? How am I being held in this group as well? Because we are holding each other already now. We are breathing the same energy, the same air. So we are already exchanging some kind of, who are you, who am I? How can we set the right distance, you know, in which we can feel both fine. So benefits of boundaries, okay, and very important is safety, okay. The first thing is like if we intrude in a baby, that's why a mother is normally so reluctant to give babies to, your baby to a lot of people, because it can be very invasive, that way to look at it. But the first is like we all need safety psychologically. So when I am good, I come back now to adulthood years, but if I'm good at setting boundaries, that means I will bring safety into me. If I'm not that good, maybe I do the wall boundary, the impossible one to cross, because there is here something, you know, that is still not trusting me in putting it. So there's this lack of safety. And then again, come back to Winnicott, that happened back then. Definitely something we need to work with, but it's not something impossible to do. Because if you are identifying it like a potential thing to happen, it might have happened, okay? So in that sense, it's where it is, where is the wound, you know? How it can express in my body, how it can express in my emotions, how it can express in my mind, and what kind of approach, beliefs, all body relations I can have in my first relationship to myself in order to heal that wound. Are you all following me? Because I'm going back and present, back and present. But here the thing is like safety, important. And this is also very interesting, that I think is an example like babies. When they are with the caregiver there, and also like if they don't feel safe enough, first year they cannot walk. Around 1 year they start to walk, but of course crawling comes earlier. But if there is not safe enough space within the baby, around the baby as well, then they don't start to explore. And that's also very beautiful, because this safety need is in one side, polarity, and we talk in this group one about it. Once about it, the other polarity is exploration, freedom. And in couples, it always comes this conflict. One wants safety, wants to stay at home, wants structure, wants that, and the other wants to explore. But I want to do things, but I want to open up. And then they come together. How beautiful also we meet into, we have different needs and we want to become a whole. But coming back to the baby, so when I feel safety, I start to explore, but if there is not a boundary, and I have seen that also, if we don't put this, like closing the space, you know, the babies, if they see the open horizon so big, they will not go to explore, okay? So that's also important to say, to explore, I also need safety outside there, you know, I need a container. I need like a place that will tell me, aha, if I keep exploring, this wall will hold me inside here. And this is much more safe than just going wild into the nothingness. Because the nothingness, remember that psychologically can be the chaos. The chaos, it can be a death, okay? Psychically, I don't die physically, but in my mind is, So, also those examples of family that they are very relaxed and very, doesn't matter, they can do whatever they want, baby, children, watch out, boundaries are needed. And boundaries are safety, and boundaries are love. So also, children education needs a lot of boundaries, okay? And I think that's also very important, because how we have received the boundaries is also how good we will be able to put them, okay? So when I say no to my child to that, I'm saying I love you, though he doesn't get it in that way, for sure not, you know? He gets it in an aggressive way. Bad mother, but you will understand that if I don't protect you, you know, I'm not a good caregiver, okay? Though it sucks when they put you a boundary. But the same as my child of 5 years is fighting against boundaries, we'll fight against boundaries. And that's also the thing, because then he feels he's not loved and he's not good. Nothing to do with that. But it takes time, you know, until we can understand that if we got too many boundaries or if we got too little, you know, we have to find out what was the reason behind it, you know. Definitely, and how would they could do it, our caregivers, because we are all learning, and that's also very important. That in every adulthood there is a child, and a child that does it the better that they can. So it's not also to blame parents, but it's just to say, okay, what did they do with me? So definitely safety, respect, definitely empowerment. When I say no, it comes this fire, no? It comes this, you know, I'm just protecting me. And I think that energy is also very, very important, definitely to experience. What we are doing here, that it is also to be heard and to be seen. Sometimes also I listen a lot of my patients telling to me, I don't feel I'm taken serious, you know? It's just like, I think I am the first person tonight that is listening to them attentive, you know? Like, all what you are saying, like, makes sense to me. Or I'm curious about where you are going with it. Or it's like, we have not had this kind of quality, active listening, you know? And also just the experience of feeling heard and seen is just so healing in itself. So sometimes also a kind of no, in whatever degree we do it. Maybe it doesn't have to be verbal, it can be also with my body. But it is also important, you know, to just say, this is me. And also it's also a lot about, and I will come to that part, because it's a lot about self-knowledge, when it feels right and not right for me. Because also, if we don't know ourselves, we can also not know where it feels right and not right. And for that, again, coming back to the parents that they did it how they could, it's also an experience of, we have to do it the better we can, you know? But how do we learn? This is also an Einstein sentence, that the true learning, it comes by experience. The rest is information. So what I'm giving you here is just information. But the true learning, it will come from your own experiences. So that's why we need to jump into whatever processes. That's why you are here in a group, okay? So experiences. How I'm gonna just learn with experience, but also with failure. That it will come from, what did I do? Did I do it too bad or too intense, the setting the boundary, or, sorry, my friend, you know, I contain so much and then I explode. And that also happens, because that masochism that I tell you, like, it cannot hold at one moment, and then, you know, it comes the beast or the dragon there. And I mean, again, that person, this is how they could, you know? So that's also very important. And then what I said at the beginning about the boundaries, authenticity, I think that's also true. When we are able to put in the good relationships, quality relationships that we have, this truth, then of course it becomes more authentic, you know? I don't have to be putting the mask, you know, all goes fine when it doesn't go fine, you know, when I'm feeling like shit. So that's also very, very important to say, I have this kind of day, or this kind of period, or this, like I said before, in the mindful confusion. I have no idea what I want. And I also welcome it. How wonderful that you don't know. Because, like I said, this is telling me that your ego is not dominating you. Because sometimes also when we have this goal-oriented approach, you know, this, I want to criticize too much, just a little, because I'm recording also, but the coach, no? The coach is this kind of objective setting, this kind of behavioral practices, this kind of indicators, it's just like, it makes you feel good. It's like when you clean your home, no? Don't you feel awesome? Like, hey, yes, there's tangible things outside there, no? And it just feels, also, I think it's a resource, cleaning your home. So clean them, please. But I mean, because then you see that and you say, I love me, you know, you see it there. So it's important to clean your home and to tidy up there. But what I want to say is, like, we don't do the whole change just by behavior, okay? Definitely the behavior will also mirror and create an internal aspect in me, but it's not just, that's what I need to do, and then I'm good. No, that's what you need to do, and the others you have no idea, because this life is like that. We have no idea. And I mean, though we want to control it all, we cannot. And I think also to navigate in this kind, to surf into the poof, is where it comes. And I'm sure you can think about experiences that you have had that you don't like and they came. But if you don't force the acceptance of them, better. Because it's just like that. Life brings you whatever. Like I said, grief, illnesses, limitations, and it's again about boundaries. Life brings you limits. And we keep, saying, no, I will open a window there, I will exit that kind of limit. No, it's bringing you a limit to learn something. And that's also the very beautiful thing. Actually, I would like to share a tale that I think it expresses so good this thing about limits and learnings and evolution. That is like this little seed that wanted to become a plant. And it just was very, very trying, like, oh yes, I want to become this plant or this kind of flower. And then it pull and pull and pull. And then when it really, really pull up and then it grow into life, she was there feeling awesome, blossom, colorful, I'm breathing, I'm experiencing life. And what did happen after a while? That it died. And I'm sure you can think about examples of these plants that you buy or whatever, and they die, and you think, shit, again, I killed it or whatever, death is here. But this is the same with life, Then in that moment, you need to find a new purpose. And that's that little plant that dies and say, what now? So life makes no sense. What I wanted to become, I'm not anymore. So I need to become someone else. I see that also with mothers a lot, in the clinic. That then it comes, this motherhood period, that it is a shortcut, like I call it, like a time tunnel, into something. And then out of the sudden, you don't recognize yourself. And you feel, physically, emotionally, cognitively, I'm someone else. And relationally. But you can come back. Never and never. But the same also with tough experiences. In life, you can never come back to the one you were. It died, that plant. But the beautiful thing about this tale that I think represents so good what nature brings us, is not just a magic tale. Then out of that death, out of this there's no purpose, out of this grief, sometimes also trauma, because it's an impact, that a storm came and killed the plant, for example, what it happens is it becomes something else, a small fruit. And then it comes like this, now it's coming, a fruit there that is just bringing another experience to life, another meaning and another purpose. And this is what we need to do many times in life, to find new purpose, to find ourselves again, to just create or co-create spaces that they allow me to grow. And that's also what it happens many times. For sure that fruit will die and it becomes something else. And for sure we will die, and we don't know if we will become something else. That's up to beliefs. But the thing here is also, guys, to really what I wanted to say is don't confront the experience of life, put as limits, because it's like that, okay? And I went a little bit more existential, but I think it's also important to bring it into that aspect, because like I said, the video will explain you the kind of boundaries we can do in a relational level. Boundaries, there are of course physical boundaries, sexual boundaries, emotional boundaries, cognitive or mind boundaries, and material boundaries. I bored with you that and blah, blah, blah. But the working plan I want to bring up with you, not to do it today, but just to have it in mind for yourself. First is think about in which places it's tough to put boundaries. For you, they say the questionnaires or the interviews that friendships and families are the toughest place to say no. So definitely, how I can start to state some boundaries in those aspects. State boundaries with safety. That means that I don't have to expose me so much. It's not that, remember, baby crawling into the nothingness. No, crawling into a step that I feel I'm still okay, I'm not gonna do the big jump and then fall down the cliff and there's no life more, okay? So we need more life. So in that sense, it's just like to say, this is the thing I can really do. To state it and feel safe, then maintain. This is also very important, because when we feel, there I go, I say this to my boss, or I just express this to my boyfriend, or I just do that and I say to my mother, I'm not calling you every day anymore, you are annoying. And then out of the sudden, it comes that thing that most of you bring to the clinic, and it's, I feel guilty. And I mean, to me, I'd be like, hello, I mean, where is guilty? Because guilty is also this kind of, and I will not go so much into that, religious thing, you know, society thing. We are born in sin, you know? It's like, no, don't eat the apple. I mean, that is so forbidden, and it's so attractive, and blah, blah, blah. So, we find, by the way, so much pleasure in the forbidden parts. That's also interesting to understand, no? But what I'm trying to say is like the guilty part, what it's doing to you is stay attached to the thing and to the old pattern. Instead of saying, hey, can you just like let go your guilt, unfold it, find out what emotions there are there in the guilt, because the guilt is a mix of emotions, of fear, of sadness. Do the grief, do the things you need to do with your feelings, and then stop feeling guilty, because that is again a construction, that it was not made up of you. Someone introjected in your life, you have eaten it, and you are poisoned by it. So, and of course, if you feel guilty, you come back and you call your mother every day and you take the responsibility that means, okay? Or you say to the boss, yes, 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 when you mean no, and your body is telling you or will tell you in a while. What I want to say is you need to maintain, because if you don't maintain and you do a weird zigzag, forget about authenticity, forget about health, and forget about getting truly to know yourself, you know, in that empowerment process as well. So that's important. And the last thing, of course, is to assess how does it feel for me? Does it feel still like something I'm doing good to myself? Is it too much? Blah, blah, blah. I think that's also very important. And the last idea that I think this is also very, very, I don't know if it came up in your exchange, in your conversations, boundaries, they do mean rejection to many people. It's like I said with the example of my child, when I say no to him, it means like, you don't love me, you are a bad mama. Quite the opposite, it means I love you, remember that. So it would mean to take care of you, I mind you. And we should be, as grown-ups, doing the same with ourselves, mothering ourselves, okay? So that means I cannot just like let go the child into the world and put the others, the responsibility of them taking care of me, because that is not written anywhere. There's no one in this world that will take care of you except you. For sure you can do exchanges, you can marriage and so on, but still, even in marriages, the people, they come to me and they say, I cannot anymore. So she has been so long, so sad, and I cannot anymore. So, because it's her responsibility to find the support, team, resources, and so on. But what I want to say is this is also very interesting, the capacity of putting the boundaries, it also has a lot to do with how I receive them. And that's why also the plan will be to reflect on how you receive boundaries. Because if you receive them, like I said, in a, I'm not loved, I'm rejected, I'm not gonna belong to the group, I'm gonna die, and I put it like that because I want that it comes consciously, because we don't talk to ourselves about this too deep. But if we go deep, the unconscious comes up and it's like, I'm not dying, you know? But somewhere in me, I think I will die. And then the thing here is like, if I don't reject me, there is just another thing, and it's acceptance again. If I accept me, that means like I really get to know me first, and then second, I love me. Love me, it means not just to be like so American movie style of, I feel wonderful and the world is awesome and I am almost levitating, you know, while walking. But it's not about that. It's about just, this is me, you know? And it's like I said here, it's to take care of me. That is to love, you know? And it's to accept me. And it's to just be permissive with me, and at the same time, permissive but not passive. Like if a boundary, it is too strong and I'm not exposing myself, it would be also to press the boundary. Not to create a trauma, not to hit, but just to press. Make sense what I'm saying? Because if I don't press a little the boundary, I'm going to expose myself a little bit and I'm going to explore, we stay in the same place as the ego landed, okay? And up to you, but then you don't grow into something else positive, like the plant that becomes the fruit. But the transformation is part of life, okay? And we don't choose always, I know that. We don't choose and we don't like that. But it's like that, okay? And yeah, so boundaries, I think is about that, okay? About working in yourself, because the last thing, and I think this is also very important, like we cannot give the right to the others to take care of ourselves. It's our own right and our own responsibility. And the last thing is also like, if I don't abandon me in this, and I'm just gonna do the healing part, process of being with me, because it's also funny, this thing of, I do that for you a lot. I clean the house, I cook for you, I make all because I don't want you to abandon me. But if you have abandoned yourself first, it's not about the other. And that's why it's not a projection. It's you think that the others will reject you because you're rejecting you. So the thing here is like, that's also why the hard work is to wake up every morning and talk to you and say, you are good. You are doing the best you can. What nice things we can do today for me. And this, because if we don't do that kind of subject of don't abandon yourself, don't mistreat you, don't traumatize you. I mean, because that's also, we think it's about the others will abandon me. Maybe. But the others don't also have the right to abandon you if you abandon yourself first. You know what I mean? It's like we cannot be abandoned because we are not kids anymore. We can be, of course, left alone and not available by the others. Yeah, okay, because the others have that right. But it's also about yourself. Feeling how it can hold me. And if I feel so low that I don't have the energy to hold me, I call another person. Or I find a safe place, or I do something else. But to give the power to someone like that, will you abandon me? And I will do the masochist. The first one you have abandoned you is you. So that's why the work is within. Make sense? That's it. And I stop and I talk too much. So now I leave you some break, but before, do you have any questions, anything? Reflections, of course, I would like to listen in the sharing. Yes, please. Good.